Good evening. I'd like to call the September meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We had a conflict from our regular scheduled meeting, and I appreciate the flexibility in being able to move this meeting back a week. So, first order of business, is there a move to accept the July and the August minutes as written?
Motion to accept
We didn't
last
have
two
it on
August
this
meetings.
We didn't have,
It's just
so
July.
July.
Only July.
I thought, because I had the 2 months in here. Motion is seconded. Any corrections, updates for the July minutes? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Thank you. All right. Public comments. Once again, the public is quiet in our meeting, which is, you know, a sign that things are going well from a communication point of view with the public. So Chief, let me turn it over to you in terms of your regular chief's report.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We'll start with the financials. You should have the handouts that are delivered to you either by email or in person. Are there any questions so far on what you've read? I know it's the beginning of the financials for the budget opening July 1st. A lot of the expenses are encumbered for the year that we have there. Some of the expenses also in the summary sheet include the CIP capital purchases also.
So I'm just looking at the budget, the financial summary, Chief, in terms of, and I recognize this is just through August, but it continues the pattern, and this is not a surprise, nor it's intended as anyways a criticism, but it continues the pattern of us catching up with our regular staffing, and until we get where we want to be, seeing a significant percentage increase in the overtime. So at what point will we have those staff positions, do you think, will be impacting so that our wage line will start to come up to budget and our overtime will start to go down?
Okay, well, currently we're paying the backfill positions on average 6 positions every 2 weeks. That's for the open positions we have, which are 2 are in the academy. We're coming out of summer, so we still had officers that did take vacations and use day leaves during that period of time, so that's reflected in that time and a half to backfill the patrol. We also have a position we'll be filling in January. So once the officers are out of the academy and they come in for the field training officer position, that will put them availability to on the road by themselves independently until probably the end of February. So a good 6 months into the budget year is going to be, we're going to have overtime. Once they're on the road and they're in the FTO program, we have 2 officers in a car, so we perhaps could, I don't want to use the term budget, but I'll use the term, we have personnel on the road to respond, just 2 people in a car as opposed to 2 separate units. That's a snapshot of what we're looking at.
So there'll be, once they get through the training, you said mid-February?
That's my guess.
Okay. Well, it certainly, you know, reinforces, you know, what we've all been, you know, kind of challenged with in terms of the employment environment it certainly reinforces the importance of trying to get this January position filled as close to January, you know, as we can. Because there's potentially another 40 hours that we would have regular staffing. But, okay. Anything else in terms of financial, Chief, that you?
I think fairly soon, like file the CIP report with our budget office. What I added to the CIP and out you for the board of selectmen is that we have the GEO file update, which is an expense, and that involves all the services. That's when someone dials 911 and it comes up with the premise, and that has not been updated in years. And it's not just most communities. They realize that when all of a sudden that old home's not there, now it's a 6-apartment building there. So we're in the process of doing that in conjunction with the Visio for land on the tax assessor's office. And hopefully we'll have this done. I'd like to get it done prior to the spring. They're working on it right now. They have the information, which is a big deal because they had a hard time delivering that to them. One system didn't talk to the other, so there's an interpretation phase, which costs us money. Second part of this is that we upgrade the CAD system, the computer-aided dispatch for all the services, for the police department to 2024. Think of it as kind of like your Outlook program. So that expense with GEO is probably going to be approximately $153,000. And I asked for that in the CIP, and I will go through the process this fall out as we go from the budget meeting.
So what's the expense impact of the unupgraded CAD system?
Well, we're finding that, as an example, off Horse Pond Road, that new development for the little farm market there, that doesn't even come up as an example, because I was an open farm one.
Okay. But we're going to be upgrading it, or that we're making a capital request?
Well, your tax files are fairly accurate, and that's a Visio system. Unfortunately, the Visio system does not talk, the Visio program does not talk to NextGen. Somebody has to interpret that. In addition to that, there are different changes in the laws in how we send information back and forth through Department of Corrections, through records. That's all being done now online. And it's almost from CAR or from this building to the courts. So we have somewhat of that capability, but that's what we're going to. We're going to the next generation of what program we currently have uses. There's also updates in there for the fire department and the ambulance, compliance with some of the changes medical, some of the compliance changes in what they do with fire services.
Okay.
Statistics would be in October. Monthly training report. Jeremy, you want to go over that?
Yep. So for this training report, I just combined July and August. So for those 2 months, there was a total of 325 training hours. And training included our hazardous materials on our online training program. That's a requirement for our accreditation, also for the CALIA accreditation and for our state accreditation. We were able to send officers to an advanced fingerprint examination course that was held at the Milford Police Academy. Officer Strickland certified our new hire, Joseph Aurora, in our firearms, so he could carry that on the road. We had officers attend the police mountain bike certification, so now they are able to take those out on patrol. And then we just had, you know, our kind of typical, our EMR certification, our Collect NCIC recertification, and our SWAT training.
Thank you.
Okay. So how many officers do we have that can bike?
I think we're up to 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Remember when the chief?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Monthly traffic action report, Doug Manella.
Okay, for the month of August, there were 25 reported motor vehicle accidents with 3 involving injuries. There was 1 driving under the influence accident, and 0 fatal motor vehicle accidents. There were 8 reported private property accidents, and lastly, there was 1 assist to the Connecticut State Police with a motor vehicle accident on Interstate 95.
The regional traffic squad, they're still going to continue in the fall?
Yes, so you're familiar with the regional traffic squad. It takes turn. We combine with the shoreline towns. It's one of the reasons for it is that we receive many complaints from the public, but in small agencies we don't always have the opportunity to address them. So what we do is we combine our resources so that we're able to address traffic complaints in each department's town. So once a week, we assign an officer or 2, as do the other departments, and we pick a town to address their complaints. And so, or once a month, they come to Madison and we address the complaints that we receive during that month period in between. So it's been very effective. We've definitely calmed traffic down throughout the summer, especially near Hammonasset on the connector there. We've had a lot of success downtown on Route 1 and 79. And so it's something that usually it would go towards the end of the summer, but we're going to continue into the fall. Because it's been so successful, so we're going to continue that. So it's going very well.
So by success, you're talking about the numbers or the reaction of people, or?
Well, yes. So when people complain, now we're able to say, hey, we're here to address your problem, your complaint, and we're able to show data that we are out there and that we are addressing their complaint rather than not addressing it. There are some people in the public that are surprised at the police presence, and I think there's a mixed reaction. I think there's a lot of surprise. A lot of people are happy about it, and some people are unhappy. Can't make everybody happy, but I think overall it's successful. I think the public appreciates it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't see. I don't want to. We should have specified this. But I don't want to come through the clouds. But if we're talking about traffic, is there an update that you or someone on your leadership team can provide in terms of the impact on the license plate readers? That certainly that was a focus of discussion going into this calendar year, and it took us a while to get it on stream, but we've now had a number of months with it.
I could elaborate on that.
Sure.
Okay, so I've been dealing with the company Utility Communications that have installed our traffic cameras. We've been dealing with Eversource. It's not been so smooth. They're very busy. We originally had all our locations set up and it was working fantastic. Eversource may have put the horse before the cart, and the cart before the horse, and it powered up the cameras before it was actually approved by Eversource, so they had to pull it back. And there was one camera that was actually not approved that they actually powered up, so we have to look for another location. That camera was Liberty and Waterbury, so we're looking elsewhere right now. We had to change out. We did a transition to T-Mobile, so we had to change out the SIM cards. So the cameras were down while that transition was being made. Currently, I was given a date this evening. I wanted the most current date. It's going to be October 3rd when we're powered up on the traffic poles that are approved. One of the holdups at the Clinton and Route 1 line at the ice house over that way was that there's I guess a pretty big bee's nest that they're trying to address now so that they can get it up and powered up and ready to go. There's a pole that is being evaluated by Eversource now on Neck Road. That's an area where we're receiving a lot of complaints for cars being broken into, stolen cars, so we're trying to address that. Eversource has denied 2 poles so far, so we're back with a 3rd pole. So it's been a lot of back and forth with Eversource, and but we're working on it, and we should be just about there by October 3rd.
What would they deny a poll for?
Let me add to this.
Sure.
Eversource explained to me that they're getting overwhelmed by all the police departments that are going to cameras. So this is really something they did not plan on. Eversource has come in and to our luck, the person that runs from the town of Madison to the shores of Rhode Island lives in Madison, and he has taken care of the problem. So he's gonna, it's been moved up for their calendar of recent, to get that adjusted. There were 2 locations that technically could not accommodate what they wanted because of the power. Our requirement versus what was that line was carrying was a lot more power, and I'm not sure how that works, but they told it could not be done there. The pole that was in one location is probably going to be moved out towards Neck Road. Okay, sorry.
During the, at that October period, Captain, how many cameras will actually, do you expect will be in place in operation?
At least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's probably going to be 5 or 6.
5 or 6, and then, is that a phase 1? Is there a second phase? For
Yeah,
more
so we're
cameras?
waiting on 11 Boston Post Road, down by Forensic Company, and let's see, and the Neck Road approval. So those will be 2 cameras that will be short. But if we get the approval before October 3rd, then that may be up.
So, I request that, maybe this be put on the, Holly, if you could tickle this to put on the agenda, maybe for the January meeting, we'll have, the full or close to the full impact for that, most of the last quarter of the calendar year. And, I think it'd be helpful to get your assessment as to the impact. More effective than you thought, not quite as effective. Here's the statistics that are kind of jumping out. Here's how, everything from everyone from the dispatch to the patrol officers react to it. They like it, they don't like it. It'd be interesting because, I think the chief and this commission, worked hard to get this approved. And there was a lot of, as you recall, both the financial impact and also the social, wait a minute, you're a little too close to my driveway in terms of knowing my traffic. So I think this would be helpful to, kind of coordinate it and say, okay, this is what we've learned when we look back, recognizing we had nowhere near a full calendar year operation in 24. But it'd be interesting to get your appraisal of it.
When the operational ones are Route 1 and Hammonasset Connector, I might have told you, how many car plates you think they were able to read in 48 hours?
A lot, several 100,000?
No, 48,000 plus.
And the clarity it's great. I mean, we can see on the computer.
Unbelievable.
And the one positive thing too, Captain Harkins and I, before I left, we were able to finally get access to they call it the hot list, which is the collect databases. So now we could tie that information to the cameras where stolen cars, wanted persons, unregistered, missing persons. So that was a huge step that Captain Harkins and I were able to finally get that list. So now plates now are going against the database, so we could tell if it's a stolen car, wanted person. So that was a huge task to get that.
So have you taken
anything
any
like-
action yet?
Go ahead.
I mean, have you taken any action yet?
So it was kind of like the same point when the cameras went up and everything. So
Oh,
you know,
okay.
so it was-
Then we had to take it on.
Take them
Right.
down, but
Right.
wait.
So that you
the
have-
fact that we have access to that database and when those cameras are back up, it's going to be a huge
Much better.
investigative tool for us.
The license plate readers that they have with the regional teams when they come in, they're generally good for a few arrests.
Mhm.
Yes.
A lot of people on prom warrants, when they're scanning the portable ones, which they have affixed in the cars.
Yep.
So,
Anytime there's a deterrent to crime, usually the people who are committing crimes find a way to work on the deterrent. Have we heard of any vandalism for cameras? Is there any information that Eversource might have or somebody would have as to anybody attempting to shoot a camera, break a camera?
No.
No.
Anything along those lines?
they're up fairly high.
Yeah. I mean, you could see them, the one at Hammonasset and Route
Right.
1, you could see it right on one of the poles there. I actually have a picture of it, Chief, if you want to pass it to the commissioner. That's what it looks like.
Thank you.
But Chief, to your point, 48,000 reads, that is incredible. That is incredible number, and when you sit there and say over a period of time, yeah, I mean, just to convey to the Board of Selectmen from a resource demand, you know, you got 150 or whatever the number might be, 180,000 reads a quarter going through here. So you wonder why, you know, if there's a fender bender and we need 2 officers there, there's just a lot of traffic.
And there's a story to tell here, and it may be premature to tell it, but before too long, I think it would be great for the selectmen and the public to hear the story.
Well, I think, as you put it out earlier, meeting, there's always an apprehension when somebody's being filmed or we have something in the public sector, public domain. We understand that, but I mean, this is a positive. I think I see it as positive for law enforcement, positive for the community. The information we had just in the first week of operation on Hammonasset, we were at a meeting involving Hammonasset, and they said, you know, what do you think, 5,000 cars? And I'm like, are you? No. North and bound, southbound, 48,000 cars plus. I know there's 8 to 11, 12,000 that cross it Route 1. You know the ramps are, as I say, 4 to 7,000. I think people grasp that. So, and for us, we talk about that because we go into Hammonasset for crimes. So,
There's usually 20,000 cars in my driveway at any given day.
Captain, thank you, it's helpful. Okay. Chief?
okay, recruitment. Before I'm going to have the captain speak to it with Lieutenant. We had the recruitment fair, which was last Friday. I'm happy that nobody recruited our officers away from the fair that were there. There was over 40 agencies. They learned a lot from all the different agencies. I think that was more a nice in-service for them to understand the direction of this. I say that because they gave the exam recently, the applications for the next exam for South Central, which is 22 towns. Guess how many applied?
Don't want to embarrass anybody in the room.
8. From over there, I just average 1,800. So, yeah, 8. So I think that
Of the 8, how many knew what they were doing?
we don't have that yet. But anyway, so after the discussion between this side of the table, Captain Harkins is going to speak to what we figured. Let's develop a recruitment team to work in conjunction with the Pulp Patrol assignment. And I think it's probably the best way for us to do this, so that we have continuity with the people we select for this. We like to put our best foot forward. Like think all our children are great, but so Doug, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, so you want to take a look at this? I put this out
I have a copy of it.
to our officers, see if they want to be a part of the recruitment team. And so far we have 4 people that are interested, so that's going to give them an opportunity to, we have a set of officers that are going to attend recruitment fairs, college campuses, events, even events on the green, things like that to kind of spread the word that we are looking to recruit and hire. So we have 4 people that are interested. We already had 2 people that applied to this posting that are officers that do a great job already, but now we have additional people that have interest. So that's gonna help us, we're hoping, as far as recruitment's concerned. And that's where we're at right now. So we have a lot of positive feedback from the department, and people are interested in helping recruit. And that's where we're at, Chief. Thanks.
I think we're going to add to our parents when we're there. I think we're going to go to one of those company and have them make up a tent for us and some of the screens that go with it. Use some of the photos of the officers and what we do. Material to hand out, things to talk from. Soup to nuts, everything. You know, what our benefits are, what our schedule is, what our pay is, where we currently are, what the town is, a little bit about it, stuff like that.
Was there any interest at the fair in Madison PD?
Yes, so there was some feedback for both police officer and dispatching.
Oh, good.
So we have one that's applied for dispatch. No takers yet so far, no official applications
Yeah.
yet for officers, but there was some interest. I spoke with both of the people that went, the officers that went to the fair.
And did you think it was productive to be there?
Yes, yes, it was the officer said it was a really good event. A lot of people, a little bit on the younger side. I think they went to some schools, some high schools, some college, but it was definitely a presence of people that were interested, so we'll see what happens.
And it was on the news that night?
Yes.
Yeah, the local news,
Yes.
yeah. And then, I also, you probably know this, but there's some advertising campaign going on too, to join the force, and it's a blend of town agencies, cities, and state police. I saw the commercial again this morning. Have you guys seen it?
So, no, I haven't, but, so the other day I attended a meeting in New Haven, South Central. Hearst Media was there, and they were presenting to the chiefs how they wanted to get a recruitment advertising, marketing for the departments because of the recruitment and retention issue.
Yeah.
So there was some interest there, but they were able to explain, what they do and how they can get the word out, not just in newspapers, but also social media.
Yep.
So
Great.
maybe that's what you're seeing, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Would we be allowed to go up to the Navy base in Groton and put any posters or anything, speak to the commanding officer and see if there's anybody that was on shore patrol that may not want to re-up, that may be interested locally, likes the area?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't think they'd be opposed to it, but I know that.
If we're looking.
Well, I know that they reached out to all the schools, even as far as Roger Williams, Rhode Island schools, John Jay College, and they put that out, that event was occurring. So a lot of the younger folks that were there were students in their second, third, or fourth, going into the fourth year of school that were in criminal justice, a lot of them, or other. So I don't see why the Coast Guard Academy or the sub base would not be. I
Well,
can't
the
see
Coast
why-
Guard, once you graduate from Coast Guard Academy, you have a commitment to serve on graduation. So that leaves them out of the loop for a while, but on the sub base with the Blue and Gold teams being deployed for as much as 5 months in some cases, maybe they don't want to look at those next deployments with families and whatever, but I mean, they're highly qualified submariners. And you also have the shore patrol that operates out of any Navy base, got a little bit of training under their belt already.
There are some programs with the vets, with, through the different programs that are out there, including even Wounded Warrior, which has some people involved. So I've seen that. I've seen the different job career fairs for them. Mitchell College does one, which involves the Coast Guard. We've had 2 Coast Guard officers.
Yeah. And my recollection was, we've had pretty good experience with individuals, to Tom's point, who've completed the service, that they weren't in security, but the fact that they've gone, they understand command and control, they're physically fit, they've had some really terrific experience in terms of what they've done while they were in the service. So, it is, certainly, I recall at one point we were trying to identify nurses who were completing their military service. There was some newspaper where, if you were thinking about getting out, here were the jobs available. The problem was they're all over the country. You're competing against Arizona and San Diego and some other pretty attractive spots. On the other hand, Connecticut is not South Dakota. Nothing against South Dakota.
Right. You'll hear from this.
But one of the biggest incentives they do have is that they're able to buy military time. If there's a pension system or some sort of system, it's up to 5 years most.
That was something that happened in New Haven. I think, speaking to the state, the chief could elaborate, but I know they offer time served that would go towards your retirement with your military time. Also, they utilize preference points. Some are residential, and some are military. So you could go in with a +5 or +10 points on a test just for serving your country. So these are just different ways to look at recruitment.
Well, what I would urge, and we've had this discussion, is if we could embrace kind of a mindset of why not. I know we haven't done it, but why not do it? Why not try it? If we crash and burn, we spend $2,600, but if we could fill that position, we save potentially, $15,000 in overtime. So, I don't think from this commission you'll get any criticism as that's a wacky idea. It's not a wacky idea if it works. Okay, and so I would just urge you, including, tapping the creativity and the insight, the ideas of some, patrol officers. It is, as we talked, it is a crucial, immediate issue, and it's not going to go away, given the numbers the chief just said. And so, and I understand, there's a lot of jostling at the start of the marathon, and we've got a lot of competition out there. On the other hand, I think we have a terrific product to sell with this community, with this department, and so I am absolutely urging, give it a try, whatever it is, give it a try. If it doesn't work, okay, go back to the laboratory. We've eliminated that one. So
There's some analysis that they're finding though. I mean, talking around now, Higgins, Connecticut State Police, they started with 60, 70 applicants and they graduated a little over 20. That's been consistent. And they're not getting people applying. But we're also finding though, and we have that success in this police department, is we have people coming from all walks of life, not just necessarily military or police science. We have somebody who was a chemical major, Roger Williams, decided, I don't want to work in that. I want to be a police officer, and they come to the table. We have people that don't have a formal education other than a high school GED, and they've turned out to be the top candidates in the training classes. And this department has had 3 people that are top training. We currently have 2 that are in the top of the class still in the New Haven Academy. So out of a hire of essentially 11 officers, we're doing better than most.
okay, good, thank you.
Okay, well, so the questions are going to, let me see, community calendar, what's left? Well, we have the Vista Life Innovations, their ride. We also have the Trunk or Treat, that's our signature, that started back in the storm days of 2010, and the Turkey Trot. Vista and Chamber are in October, obviously, and the Turkey Trot is what we do over Thanksgiving. We also have on this, we're adding what are we calling the festival?
I think it's the Madison Pride Fest.
Okay, and
Madison Pride.
I'm just waiting to firm that up. That'll be on our calendar.
Is that also in October?
It's going to be Saturday the 5th.
Yeah.
It's going to be probably the biggest one we've had. I've been in charge of the vendor event planning, and I've secured over, I think, 63 vendors, if not more, by now. So we're hoping to make it quite the event.
I understand it's the last one of the season, so there's going to be a lot of people there.
Yes.
And how is the Beachcomber event shutting off Wall
Yeah,
Street?
just gonna ask that.
That was fine.
Yeah, worked out okay?
Yes.
I heard great things about it.
It was awesome.
Wasn't able to
I
attend,
went.
but-
It was
It was a great event.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And the triathlon one was, there was a lot of people, 350 applicants-ish, participants, swim, bike, run. So we provided security, traffic. So that went well. I think that was in September 7th, I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. So that went well.
So am I right, based on the public and the department assessment, this beachcomber, the shutting of Wall Street is likely to become a tradition since it seemed to work pretty well and we got a positive reaction to it?
I've spoken with the chamber and John, they thought it was rather successful. There is still some logistics with Route 1 versus Wall Street. I think it makes up the vendors more, so that it becomes a balance. Because I think probably the merchants on Route 1 did a little bit better than the other merchants. So for the first time, there wasn't any issues traffic-wise or disturbance-wise. I think that it was, I can only see that getting bigger, you know, expanding out, even maybe taking another block. But,
Good.
okay, correspondence, I do not have any. I had phone calls with folks, had discussions on issues that came up. But as you know, I like to talk to folks on the phone and go meet and greet with them. But we just had a couple of traffic issues and that was it. For traffic issues, I guess I could add, I received the information from the state DOT. It sounds like they're trying to get out of the business of doing traffic studies. They want the towns to do them on their own. In the case of us, go to South Central CROG, one of those, and hire the consultant they have. Those usually average 60 to 80 to 100,000. I put the application in that they request for a traffic study of where the schools are going. And I extended that down Cops Road, Mungertown, and looping back to Route 1 in consideration of bike path. You know, people come from the schools, they could come down to Center Madison. So I got the letter saying they're not going to do it and suggested I could talk to CROG, and I discussed that with the first selectwoman today. But also, I have the study that they completed from downtown out to Hammonasset and basically the Clinton line. It's about that thick. I'm still going through it. I had it on my desk when I returned this week. There are some changes they'd like to see. They like to clean up the intersection where Scotland Road comes out with Route 1 and with, you come out of East Wharf, the offset there by Burbon. Also where Lover's Lane comes out and meets Route 1, meets Liberty, clean that up, more defined. The next intersection where there are a lot of people live up off Signal Hill, it's just the speeds are tough. For them to put a crosswalk in there, so there's some things they suggest could be done. Hammonasset connector at the base, they're working on some of the drainage and some of the, they have devices there also for traffic. They're working on that. Also, the way the exit lanes come out of the park. And I brought to their attention, and they put it in their notes, that there's possibly 3 condominium areas / housing projects in that area of Madison going towards Clinton. So that it's fairly comprehensive. It was done by a subcontract company. We stayed with them the whole time. And they said it would take a few months, so I have that now, so we'll go through that.
Okay.
That's all I have on that.
Amy, you raised your hand?
Wait. Amy, wait.
Can I ask a quick question? What about that intersection at New Road?
We turned that up.
Yep.
Well, that's gonna be a crazy area for traffic.
Amy, could you repeat it? We're just turning up the volume here. Could you?
I'm just asking about the intersection of New Road and 79 where the Hanover exit is. Something is getting built there, it looks like, and that intersection's already crazy. Is there a plan to look at that?
New road.
Well, I had the discussion, talking about the development coming up New Road at Hammonasset Connector. They have come in, the developers initially, when they had the housing and the medical center. I told them that study wasn't sufficient. They went back and presented another one. I still have some concerns with that. As I told this board before, we accept if the town accepts a project and accepts it for the way it was proposed, then we own it after that. If we have to make adjustments to traffic, a good example is the General's residence, where people come over the rise, the concern there for safety. We probably should have had egress off, access and egress off onto Route 1 there. Should have probably gone around a loop and come out of East Wharf. So I have that, that's on my desk, to have a discussion with the next meeting that Aaron tells me to attend, the town planner, with the developers. I know they've cleared the land already for, I think, the medical center. And I understand it's a change. Somebody that they had originally approached that was gonna go in there is not going in there, it's somebody else now. So I think one initially might have been a surgical center. So, and I'm not sure where the apartments are, the condos on, coming on the, if you're heading west on New Road on the right, that property there. That most certainly requires an exit lane coming south. To make it safe, north and south has to have a separate lane to go in there. And it has to be clearly marked. It's probably gonna take a traffic control. You have people going on, getting off, trying to get off and go down Clinton, down River Road, coming south around a curve that has it's blocked by design of the road, south by our building, and then coming out of New Road, trying to cross. So my contention is you have to have that's gonna require signals. So.
Chief, you mentioned some time ago a study done of crosswalks, perhaps at Dudley Lane, Route 1, and Cottage at Route 1.
Dudley, Cottage, West Wharf at,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that part of this study that you're referring to?
Well, they had it, they know it's there. The applications were handled by your engineering department. I think you should ask them the status. I keep calling and I'm not getting the answer. I have people that call me regular, and I asked them to call, they did speak with the select woman over it, but I've been after that for 3 years now. What I did do is I put the crosswalks on the streets that we have the authority to do, trying to get people to move along. And I'm sure some people weren't happy, but we comply with the law for what we have. I need them to now continue, put them across Route 1, put the devices as they're needed. So that's, what they did was, my understanding was they hired an engineering firm, like the 11th hour, and they were submitting the request.
Okay. Chief?
Just want to add one more thing. I'm not happy with the speed that this is happening. It's gone on too long.
Yeah.
It seems like we're gonna have the second or third birthday party soon.
I've said 2 or 3, you're right, sir.
So,
What I want to add, I wanted to add that I mentioned it, that Connor Sarasi and that Jeff DeLucia are the leaders in that class in New Haven. They have been. So we're excited about that. We hope they maintain it. Like having those special awards from the Post Council and of course from the Police Commission.
when do they graduate?
Oh gosh, the
February, March.
Yeah.
February, March.
so current issues. Court TV's coming back. They're like, what?
How does that impact us?
It was actually fun. Court TV came to us about a month and a half ago and said, hey, we're stuck. Can we use your PD, maybe some of your officers in film? We're doing a reenactment of a homicide from Phoenix, Arizona, from, I guess, early 2000s. And so they like to film it. I said, what does that mean? And they said, we come in, we just did film some scenes and some of the actors, and that's it. Okay. Well, that turned into trucks and everything else over there. Hollywood was here. They took over basically part of the building. And they used some of our officers and they filmed, and it was rather fun and interesting to watch. We're saving that for the end. So they have 2 more scenes to do, and they asked if they could come back, but they wanted to just make a donation to the police department, to which charity or whatever. That's the way. So they asked, I requested permission if they could come back, coming back on the 26th. They generally come in around 3 o'clock and they're out of here by 10. So, and they feed everybody in the building. I thought it was rather special that they fed us hot meals and they gave the actors pizza. But, so that's what I'd like to do. They also use the Fairfield Police Department. It's, I'm not sure where it is outside of Phoenix, but it must match up with the size of the police department and a local. So, and the gentleman that is basically in charge of it was the former special agent in charge during 9/11 in New York City. He's also the gentleman that investigated, the lead investigator on Flight 800. So he goes around the country and works with production. He's kind of like their expert, although we showed us some things they didn't know, you know, so it was fun. They used the two of the officers, Officer Manweir and Officer Francesca Moore. And so, that's it.
Okay. One of the things that I know you had scheduled was the recent graduate from the FBI.
We're gonna go. Okay. Well, here he is, back from the FBI National Academy. Since I've been here, this is the third manager to attend the FBI National Academy at Quantico, Virginia. This is a very prestigious, for those who don't know, very prestigious program offered to law enforcement throughout the world. They generally have several hundred people that attend the class. It is essentially 7 to 10 week, depending on the scheduling class. It is very demanding for academically and extremely demanding physically. You have to complete what they call the Yellow Brick Road. The Yellow Brick Road is the command course for the Marine Corps Command School down in Quantico. Jeremy's here. He graduated. Jeremy attended. He completed the course, the Yellow Brick Road. We'll go over your times in a minute. But I would like to, if you could, one, we congratulate you on this great, we're very happy for you and your family. I know they're happy you're back.
Very happy.
We congratulate you for this, on this occasion of you completing this. You joined some tremendous ranks. You know that we've had yourself, started with Captain John, and also with Joe Race attended. I attended. I graduated in 07. But it's a tremendous thing. Maybe you're next. And it's quite an accomplishment. You come out of there with graduate level credits. You come out of there in top shape. You've made more connections in law enforcement in this world you can imagine. And tell us a little bit about it. And I know you want to make a presentation.
Yeah. So just first off, I have to thank my wife for holding down the fort for the 10 weeks. She was a true hero in this whole thing. I just had to go worry about myself. She had to hold the fort down. So I want it on record. The first person I'm thanking is my wife. The second is obviously the chief and the commission for allowing me the opportunity to go to this. It was 10 weeks where I could just immerse myself in law enforcement, how to become a great leader in law enforcement. And it truly, right now, is the pinnacle of my law enforcement career. It was even better than I ever could imagine it been. So so there was 254 other law enforcement officers, executives, 26 internationally, and just to hear their stories on how they, lead their departments throughout the world and throughout the country was truly amazing. I always just give the example. There was a commander from the Minneapolis Police Department that was in one of my classes, and that was the epicenter of the George Floyd incident. And they went from the moment of the George Floyd incident, 850 officers, to about a week later, there were about 125 officers. So you want to say, how do you keep a police department functioning? And just learning firsthand their stories and how they kept that police department going was truly incredible. Just the experience in general. So I was able to take 5 courses on top of a physical fitness one. So twice a week we were doing PT in the morning again. And I wanted to do a wide range of classes. I didn't want to just focus on one. So the first class I took was critical incident management. So that was a hostage negotiator, retired FBI agent that was attached to the hostage rescue team. So he told all stories about all rescues that team done, which is essentially like Tier 1 special operators for law enforcement. So that was a great class. I took a violent crime class. And the instructor is a civilian, but I worked in the behavioral services unit, and he's interviewed over 80 serial killers throughout the world to really see mentally why people do these things. So that was an incredible class. We also learned there was 30 other individuals giving cases about violent crimes and investigative techniques they use to solve these crimes. So that was tremendous. One of the classes that I got the most out of was leading at-risk employees. So law enforcement on an annual basis, more cops are dying by suicide than by adversarial actions. So police department now, the big focus now is on peer support, peer wellness. And I've had a discussion with the chief. You know, one of my main things coming back from this is I want to get a peer support group formed internally through the Madison Police Department. At the union meeting coming up at the end of the month, I'll be presenting my ideas for forming this peer support group. It's a tough profession, and less people are, you know, obviously joining the ranks. We've had the discussion. So the ones that we do get, we have to really make sure we're keeping an eye on each other and making sure we're getting the services they need. So that was really eye-opening, just, you know, about peer support, wellness, making sure our officers are functioning at peak performance, not only just on the job, but, you know, also with their families and everything at home. So that was really a tremendous class. And then the last class I took was a behavioral science special agent. So we learned about the personality traits, the good and the dark ones, and then you could see like how you could get someone, once you identify those traits, how you manipulate someone to get the information for like an interview and interrogation. So just and also the amount of resources that I learned that the FBI can provide us on multiple situations between violent crimes, if a child goes missing, whether abduction or just goes missing, there's agents that are ready to fly out within 3 hours to assist. Where I didn't even know that program existed. So also technology-wise, based on cell phones and everything. So just learning all that was just truly, and then learning from all the other departments throughout the world and everything. So all the credits. So I got 5 credits towards UVA, University of Virginia master's degree. The FBI, they have a deal where I could complete it for another 5 courses for only $9,000. So I think the FBI already paid for half. I think I'm gonna go finish that. So that's so it truly was just an amazing opportunity. And the last, I was doing recruitment there. So at the FBI Academy is on a Marine Corps base. In order to get to there, there's Marine Corps MPs in the thing. So every time I'd give them a patch, and they'd be like, "Oh, thanks for the patch." So this really squared away female Marine says, "Oh, I'm from West Haven." I go, "Oh yeah." She goes, "Well, I'm getting out of the Corps, and in less than a year, my mom just built a house in Killingworth." I go, "So are you interested in becoming a police officer?" She goes, "Absolutely, I am." So I said, "Here's my patch. Here's my business card." So I'm praying that individual calls me within a year because she was squared away. So, just it was just funny when you were saying the story about the military bases. Like every time I give a patch, they'd be like, "Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." And then this one's like, "I grew up in West Haven." I was like, "Oh, go figure." So. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I mean, I could go on for hours about my experience, but it truly was one of the most incredible experiences I've had in my law enforcement career. So, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to my family. So,
Great.
You're not done. One of the things that I think, and Tom was certainly along with me in for a ride when we joined the commission, is really partnered with the chief because he inherited a department that was in trouble. And what organizations do, a lot of organizations do when they're in trouble, first thing they throw overboard is their training function. Okay? Because it's an expense, we don't need to do it. You can't tell the difference last week from this week, whether you did it or not. Get rid of it, cut it down, cut the hours. And so, you know, I think we took the opposite approach here and said, and the chief picked up on this very, very early, if you want to get the commission shaking their head yes, start talking about training. And so we really, and you're a good example, and other people, not just you, but other people as well, you're a good example of what we feel that while this is an impact and expense in terms of your hours and your travel, we really see it as an investment. It is an essential investment. So now that we've made this investment in you, you have an obligation to share what you learn, and and do it in a way, I think, that your fellow officers in the department or in other departments kind of embrace and see the value of it. I mean, for example, let me just ask you, what was the best thing you got out of the program, and what would you put aside?
Well, as I mentioned, that leading at-risk employees, I thought that was a tremendous course because I didn't know that statistic prior, that more law enforcement officers are dying by suicide than by adversarial fire on a yearly basis. And that's been consistent for the last 20 years. So obviously it's the stresses of the job, the stresses of the hours. Every day you're putting on a bulletproof vest and wearing a firearm. So on top of you're working midnight shift and everything, and some families can handle it, some families don't. And on top of the normal raising a family, you may have a special needs child, you may be going through financial issues, and we need to form these peer support groups internally because police officers like speaking with police officers. That's another thing that we've noticed, where you could bring a ton of social workers on board, but police officers are more willing to speak to another fellow police officer. That's why forming this peer support group, just where anyone can reach out, and there's confidentiality laws that the state of Connecticut has that protects the officers. So say if they do say something, they possibly can't be in risk of losing their job, etc. So there's a really big focus on that. I mean, annually now, the FBI National Association holds 3 conferences throughout the country about officer wellness. So it's a big issue that police departments are facing throughout the world, and we need to do better to make sure our employees are not only in top shape, mentally, but when they go on the road, they're performing at the highest standard.
Lieutenant, are there certain principles that came through to you that reinforce the fact that whether you're in a 30-man department or a 230-man department, there are certain law enforcement or law enforcement management principles that are similar?
Well, the one thing I noticed in one of my leadership classes is like the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So if you really think about it, you have to have your basic essential functions satisfied before you can start going next to self-esteem, to self-actualization. So if you look at the basic needs, the departments that are doing a great job with the basic needs is the departments throughout the country that were high pay, great medical benefits, and great retirement plans. So once those departments had no issues with recruitment issues, they were always fully staffed, so they weren't getting bogged down by overtime. And then officers were like, okay, once my basic needs of that, you really start looking, now I want to invest in accident reconstruction. And so then all of that is like piece into piece. So that's like really the main theory. So, when I went through my master's course, you learn about all these transformational but the departments that truly have successes, you look at the Maslow's basic hierarchy of needs, and when you get the concrete down and you start going up, the officers, really hit that potential. And it's the same for an 8-man department, and it's the same for the New York City Police Department that is 40,000 strong. And even internationally, a person who lived across the way was from the Norwegian National Police in Norway. They're a 40,000 strong police department, and it's the same exact things. Same things that hold true in Madison, Connecticut hold true in international law enforcement. So,
is there anything, and then I'll
Yep.
absolutely give up the microphone, but is there anything that as you reflected over that 7 to 10 weeks, came back and said, I got to get the chief to do this?
Well, I had the discussion, the peer support group. I think that's a big thing. A lot of departments are behind it, but the agencies that have it, there's apps on that departments could get for free where it just has let's just say if an officer is suicidal, there's an app that could call like a national cops hotline, and you could get on a phone with a police officer right there in that minute. Also, it has wellness, financial planning. So there's all these other things that go into, you could get financial help, dieting. there's so many different aspects. So it's like I go back to the Maslow's. If we can make sure people are, you know, on the right path, not stressed out about external, you know, they're going to be the best officers when they come here in the police department. So,
Is there any follow-up in terms of a graduate, and maybe Chief, you know, this, that says, hey, once a year I get a, you know, kind of a, because I'm an alumni in any organization, the better organizations keep track of those alumni. Is there any follow-up that you would expect to?
oh yeah, so now that I'm a graduate, I'm allowed to join the FBI National Academy Associates. So I'm a member of that. So there's an app for that where it has conferences throughout the year, training courses, and also if, let's just say if I have a question, I need a policy on peer support group. I could send on the app, I could send a text request, and every graduate could say, here you go, Jeremy. I can email you a copy of the Indianapolis Police Department's peer support program. So now I have a whole network on an app now where I could just reach out saying if I need something, or just I've seen like a basic question, you know, what are the challenges of recruitment? And it's the same things that we discuss, you know. So now I'm tied to a huge database of law enforcement officers that all I have to do is pay your annual dues for. So, yeah.
Good.
It's the commitment to the Alumni Association of FPINA that has got us 3 positions. Technically, 3 positions should take 21 years. We had 3 positions in 14. So that was because we stay involved with the local office, we stay involved with the recruitment office, we stay involved with the trainers and things like that. They do suggest, though, that the first good solid training come from FBI lead, and that's generally your 5th year after you postgraduate. But they hold them all at down at Quantico for a week, or they have them regionally, because there's just so many graduates now.
Okay.
This is forward thinking a little bit, but just listening to your enthusiasm and listening to how well you expressed yourself in relation to the course, I'd like to make a request that at some point in time between now and whenever, you start to think about the rest of the department, and maybe in your mind, maybe have a conversation with the chief or Captain Harkins, think of other potential candidates in our department that would benefit from going there, and how the hierarchy of Madison is going to evolve over the next several years. Because they'll be at all levels coming through, I'm sure. Oh, that's a question. What level of policing were some of the students that you're...
Yeah, so I would say probably 70% were lieutenants like myself.
Okay.
Probably a good 10% were captains. Then there was 3 or 4 actual chiefs of police, and then maybe sprinkling a couple assistant chiefs. So it was like the lieutenant captains. So it's the ones that are you know right on the next level becoming
Right.
executive, high executive management. So.
Because, as you know, one of the jobs of the commission is to help the town and through the growth of the department. And if you see fellow officers of a lower rank than yourself that are expressing good potential, good judgment, just think about perhaps at some point in time when we have a conversation about the next officer, either from a promotional basis or to attend the academy, have your own little list.
Yep.
And keep it to yourself for the time being.
Got it.
It's just that they generally request we submit a lieutenant or higher.
Okay?
The requirement is bachelor's degree, master's preferred.
We
That's
could promote someone down
That
the road to
requirement
that
is, that
position.
requirement has been our standard for probably since the
Okay.
inception.
Well, look at it.
And it's also, if you
Appreciate-
get an update of your peer support group in a couple months.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anything you can support
Okay.
that.
Absolutely.
Well, Lieutenant, thank you very much for sharing this. As I said, in a lot of professions, but I think particularly in law enforcement, lifelong learning is part of the success, and it's a significant step. I hope and expect you'll share it at different times with your colleagues and with the chief as issues come up. But You know, it is, as the chief said, it certainly, you know, reflects, I think, where we want to continue to make this level of investment, not just in the leadership, but in all levels. You know, we've got varying levels of authority in the department, and we just need to make sure that we embrace the fact that the issues in 2025 are a little different than the issues in 2021, and we just need to make sure we stay current. And you know, your course and your insight and what you take away from it is a critical part of maintaining that current. So thank you very much for sharing that information. Okay.
Okay, I think you're down.
You're right. Commissioner comments?
Yes.
I made mine.
Okay.
I just want to say that I think this team for recruiting, like to go out to the other officers, is brilliant and along lines with what you're saying about like innovation. And I mean, it's really tough out there, like to see these commercials on TV. You know, that's another innovation. That's a great idea. So thanks for going to the fair and thanks for doing this. And I'm excited to see what new ideas you come up with.
Michael?
I'm out of comments tonight.
Amy?
First off, good to see everybody again. Missed y'all last month. Welcome everybody back to work here. Loved hearing the reports. Thank you guys. That was really informative. I really enjoyed this meeting a lot. And I do, like I said, look forward to hearing from the peer review group. You know what I'm trying to say. How the peer review goes. I know they think of, and I think it's a phenomenal idea for wellness. I'd also love to talk, you know, I'm a broken record about certain things. As these cameras go online October 3rd, I really think we should talk to the community about what's happening, share with them, kind of get the facts and let people know what's happening and why it's great. And I think just what you said about what we can identify with these cameras right away, so people don't think it's about spying, it's about protecting. And I think there's a great story in there. So I just want to make sure, I'd rather be proactive on that than reactive. So that's one thing I would recommend, but that's it for me.
Good, thank you. I think the update in the report reflecting the investment made was a very important part of kind of reinforcing, I think, the environment, the culture that we're trying to not just create. I think we have it to a certain extent, but we're trying to enhance and say, if you come to Madison and continue to grow, you know, whether you're, you know, 2 weeks out of the academy, you know, or 10 years here as an officer, come here and grow. I mean, I think that will not only enhance the individual's awareness, but also certainly create a sense of, you know, this is a high-performing team, and there's an expectation, and I'm not naive. There's an expectation that if you're here, you're not going to put it on cruise control for the next 10 years. And so I think your report and information was very helpful and reinforced that, Lieutenant. Thank you very much. We will plan to have a somewhat brief executive session. We want to talk to the chief about the issues relating to his performance review. So is there a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Make a motion to adjourn executive session.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Amy, you're still going to stay connected, please, okay? Good.
We have to set up interesting, challenging. We have to set up a new Zoom.
Wait, a new link?
Otherwise, this will be public.
Let me grab my iPad and we'll just do a FaceTime for Andy to make life easier.
That'd probably be easier.
It might be easier because
Okay.
we spent a
Yeah.
couple hours with IT.
It's the first time we did this.
It was a little bit more
Just a-
challenging than we thought. So I'm going to
I
edit.
don't know if it's bad
Okay.
news or good news, but we're going to
We're gonna do that?
So what are you gonna do?
All right, I'll turn this on.
tax dollars, good work.
We're stuck.
Thank you, everyone. And can you just record when the executive session ends? And I'll send you an email just to, yep.